Hold on, I'm sorry. Is that okay, y'all?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, Jazz.
Um, so Freud, you want to read it and answer? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Freud stages are psychosexual, while Erickson stages are psychometric, psychodynamic, psychopharmacological, and psychosocial. So of course, Eric Erickson's stages are psychosocial. He has eight stages. Um, and all of them focus on like relationships and in each of those stages and like how we actually like progress in each of those stages.
Absolutely. Now, the way you gonna remember that Erickson have 8 stages is because Erickson have 8 letters. That's how I like to remember. Um, yes, Freud was psychosexual and Erickson was psychosocial. So Erickson also followed, he was a follower of Freud. He also had some psychosexual stages too. What stages was those, Jazz?
Wait, say that part again.
Hmm.
You should say that one more time. The last thing you said.
Um, Erickson had some psychosexual stages too. What was his stages?
It was oral, anal, phallic, latency, and genital.
Now, which ones of Erickson's was psychosexual like Freud's?
Trust versus mistrust. Is it autonomy versus shame and doubt?
Yep.
Initiative versus was it guilt?
Yep. Yep. Perfect. Did everybody get that? Everybody understand that? So, Freud had how many stages? Somebody tell me. Tiff,
Why did I know you was gonna call me?
how many stages Freud had? Old as people like gold. Old as people like grapes.
Five.
Oral, anal, phallic. Uh-huh. Latency.
Five.
He had 5 stages. Can anybody go ahead and tell me about the stages? Talk to me like you're teaching me about Freud.
So oral is from like birth to 18 months.
Hmm.
And that stage is like where it's like a baby, like they're doing like sucking everything kind of with oral. Um, the second one is anal.
Hmm.
And that's from like 2 to 3, and that's kind of like what potty training, like so everything is dealing with the anal.
Yep.
Um, the phallic is where the Electra and the Oedipus complex.
Absolutely.
And that stages is that 3 to 6 or 3 to 7?
Yep.
What is
Perfect. All right. So let's just get into it from the early beginning. Just so I just wanted to see where we kind of was at, and I think just a thank you, Jazz. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because you about to go ahead and do what you need to do on this test. You only 1 point away, baby girl. That ain't gonna hold you. Okay, y'all. So let's just start from the very beginning. I'll teach it. That means next time when I'm asking questions, y'all can just give them back to me like it ain't nothing. Jazz, after this, I would like you to stay because I need to talk to you about something. Um, so Freud is our psychoanalytic person, right? He's all about psychoanalysts. Freud said that it was all your mama's fault of why you going through what you're going through. Okay? It was all the mama's doing why we are messed up. That's what he believes. That's what he is. So Freud started all of this um, because one, he was someone who liked to do insight. He liked to go into your life to see what's going on. At the early stage of psychoanalysis, That's where you got the idea from therapy of people laying on a couch spilling their guts to you. All that comes from Sigmund Freud. Um, Freud believed in doing a lot of projective and subjective testing. That's where you would see the Rorschach ink blot. Anybody can explain that to me?
That the test with pictures and images.
So the Rorschach is what?
You mean like
The
subjective or projective? That's what you're asking?
ink, like how it was ink. Anybody ever seen an ink block test? Anybody know what a Rorschach ink block look like?
Isn't it like a whole bunch of black like dots or like kind of in like different like clusters or
Yep, let me show you. So I'm gonna stop sharing because it's a whole bunch of. So, have anybody ever seen like on movies, they do some ink blots like these? And depending on what you see, basically tells you what you're going through. Very projective, very subjective. Why is projective? Because if you're looking at an ink block and you see a bat, Freud would say maybe you was abused when you was a child, so you seeing scary things. Very subjective. I probably have not been going through what he said I'm going through, but he said that's what it is, and that's what it is. I want you to note that Freud, who is a psychoanalyst, he believed in a lot of the of these kind of tests, which was subjective from the therapist to tell you what you're going through. So the Rorschach ink blot test was one of those tests that he would administer. Now we're back to the visuals because I can't see when I switch. Y'all see the visuals? Okay. So Freud had five stages. Five stages are oral, anal, phallic, latent, genital, and that's it. The way you can remember it, oh, most people say Orphan Annie, Pretty Little Girl. Some people say old as people like grapes. They like gold, however you want to remember them. Now, each stage stands for something. All right. So when you think of the oral stage, we're thinking about babies that are
in their
newborns.
mouth?
Huh?
Sorry.
That's okay. Babies that are newborns that is in the oral stage, of course, they are connected to their mom's boob, right? So when you think of oral stage, this is the part, the first three of Freud's kind of go in with Erikson, and I'll explain why. So in the oral stage, of course, the baby is learning to trust. So that's why with Erikson, it'll be trust versus mistrust. With Freud, it's with the mouth. That's what the baby first learns as soon as they get here. You do not have to teach your baby how to drink from your breast. Your baby just know, right? And we don't actually have to teach ourselves how to feed the baby. Yeah, it's frustrating at the beginning, but once they get it, it's just something natural. Correct? So is the oral stage. So what happens in the oral stage? Okay, the child is learning how to suck, how to swallow, and all of that. And it's important to remember that Freud said when we are born, our ego develops. All right. Your ego is born with you. It is innate. You'll see that word a lot, innate. Then you have the anal stage. The anal stage, of course, is potty training. All right. Um, For Freud, when he talk about the anal stage, of course, this is one, two, and three. So those are those potty training stages. And then if you want to correlate that with Erikson, that's Erikson autonomy versus shame and doubt. And what Freud said here, this is for us, we remember that it's potty training, but it's more to it when we're talking about Freud. Freud says this thing when kids become fixated at a stage. Can anybody explain to me if someone is fixated at the oral stage, what are they giving off? Think about it. Somebody who constantly have to have something in their mouth. What are they doing? If we're fixated at the oral stage. That's your smokers, that's your overeaters, that's your nail biters, that's someone that alcoholics, anybody that have to put things in their mouth. Now it's a bigger picture of why he said those things, and I see it more now that I'm in the seat of a therapist because you kind of want to figure why a person is the way that they are. And 9 times out of 10, when you start getting down into the meat of the problem, is their childhood. It's something that happened in their childhood, okay? So just know if anybody is fixated at any of these stages, something happens to them along the line, all the way down the line. So that's why when Freud is talking, or any psychoanalyst, they are going insight. They are going into your past. They're going into your life. They're going to sit and try to figure everything out about you. Okay? Keep that in mind. Then you have the phallic stage. All right? The phallic stage is when a child becomes aware that they're a girl or a boy. They come aware that that part down there actually have a feeling. Not because they're freaky or not because somebody probably touched them. It's just once you think about this, boys, I have boys, all boys. And ever since they were babies, we'll wake up in the morning and their little thing will be up. Okay? Babies, they don't know, but I remember, of course, as a mom with boys, you have to fold it down, right? And put the diaper on, or they'll pee on you, or they'll pee on, it's just, whatever. So the minute you touch it and you put it down, around this age, hopefully they potty train, but around this age, they realize it's a feeling to it. A girl, she starts to realize it's a feeling to it, right? So that's when this stage actually have extra stages with it. All right. So to Freud, he was crazy. Freud believed he was really into this. Was it German? What was it like a what was the story? Was it German? I think it was like this German soap opera or something like that, and talked about two stages that goes into this one stage. What's the name of those two stages? Anybody? Nobody know the two stages in the phallic stage? Jazz, you did just tell me.
Which,
I don't know.
which
There's an Electra.
again? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Complex.
Yes. So the two stages that will be in the phallic stage is the Oedipus and the Electra complex. How you gonna remember this? The Oedipus complex happens in boys. All right. What Freud believe is that the concept that describe a child's sexual desire for a boy to be in love with his mother. Okay. Unconsciously. Remember, all of these things are unconsciously. Let me explain how. Just think about it this way. Think about you and if you have boys, and I only speak from a boy, but I know girls do it too, especially with their daddy, right? So when we talk about the Oedipus complex, the boys, they love their mom so much, but the minute they see their daddy rubbing on their mama, they get possessive and be like, that's you're like pushing them away. Think about the ages at 3. They'll push daddy away because technically you belong to them. They even get a little curious. My son got a little curious before when they was that age and knew that my breast was there and started feeling. It was like, what is all that or whatever. But unconsciously it's happening. But to Freud, um, he believed the unconscious is that the son is sexually attracted to his mother. And then when you think of the Electra complex, it's the opposite. The daughter supposed to be attracted to her father, which tried to push her mother away from her father. All right. How you remember this? Oedipus would be the boy, but Electra is the girl, like Carmen Electra. Remember it like that. Carmen Electra is the woman, the Oedipus is the boys, okay? Now, this happens all unconsciously, all right? This is not really, this is what he believed. And to go further, it's said that because when you're doing psychoanalyst therapy, you're going insight to these people. So to understand, how was your relationship with your mom? Oh, me and my mom didn't get along. How was your relationship with your dad? Oh, me and him had the best relationship. Then you can kind of think, maybe something around the Electric complex where the relationship with the mother wasn't so good because maybe you wanted a closer relationship to your father and she was in the middle of doing that, or she was in the middle of doing all kinds of things. Maybe the child become boy crazy and the mom in a way, like it's so many things that you can go through. So that's where he's pulling all of this out for. Okay? Everybody get that? Now, it was also said in this stage for the girls, it was a penis envy. Okay? The penis envy is like, no, this all unconscious, and this is Freud. I don't know why, but the penis envy was basically the girl wanted a penis like their dad. Why? I don't know. Couldn't explain it to you. But I do remember a story of being curious. I grew up in a house full of girls, and I do remember one time I walked in on my uncle or somebody using the bathroom, and I couldn't understand why boys had to stand up. So I don't know if this is the same thing. And I remember when I was little, I was trying to pee standing up just because, I don't know. I don't think it was penis envy. I think I was curious, you know? And basically, if a girl understands her father has something different than her, or a brother has something different than her, then it's curiosity. Because think about it, this is ages 3 to 7. You're still learning, right? Okay. And then on the boy side, the boy had the fear that the father wanted to cut his penis off. Mutation. Okay? Just write it down. Don't try to make sense of it. This is Freud. But remember, all of these are unconscious things, unconscious thoughts. When I say unconscious thoughts, what am I saying? If it's unconscious, what's happening?
They're not aware.
I'm not aware of it. If I'm conscious, I'm aware of it. Where on there, if I think really hard, I could be aware of it. Where is that? If I think really hard, things can come back to my mind. What part of the conscious is that? Everybody write it down. It's the subconscious. If I think really hard, I can remember. Unconsciously, I don't know. Consciously, I am conscious. I know what's happening. And then subconsciously, if I really want to remember, I will remember. Okay? Latent stage happens 6 to 12. And this is where the least sexual part of Freud's theory happens. This is where the kids start to want to have friends, be around people their same sex, like the boys. I want to click. You start getting in cliques and stuff like that. Think of elementary school. Think elementary school from second grade up to sixth grade. They just want to hang with their cliques. They got they friends, they're not worried about anything. This is the one stage where sex is not broadcast as much. But then you go into your genital stage and think about it. That is when that's 12 and up, puberty hits. Sexual impulses start to be attracted to different sex. The boys start to want girlfriends and the girls want boyfriends and stuff like that. Okay. Now, like I was saying before, when someone's fixated, what does fixated mean?
Stuck.
Stuck. They did not make it to the next stage. And some people today is fixated at any of these stages. Okay. Have you ever heard of a boy who's always a grown man who is always whining, throwing tantrums, and you like, you a grown man and you doing all of that. 9 times out of 10, he's stuck at the titty stage. Okay? He need a titty in his mouth. He's crying too much, a little titty baby. They get fixated. He probably always have to smoke. Always high. I need to put something in my mouth. Probably always gotta eat. Probably always gotta bite their nails and things like that. So Freud Freud was very smart. I would say that. Why Freud is the first person we talking about? Because he the one who set the tone for all therapists. Okay, he was crazy, but he was on to something. All right, so we got that. He got 5 stages. His stages are psychosexual. He believed in the Rorschach ink blot. He believed in all of the subjective and projective testing. Okay. Now, to write down the projective testing is the Rorschach ink blot, the TAT, which is the thematic appreciation test, and then free word association. And it's called the Rotter's sentence fill in or something like that. Okay, those are important. Know that. Now, remember what I said, if they're fixated at the oral stage, that's all of those people who depend on things in their mouth. If they're fixated at the anal stage, how do you think this person is?
Stingy.
Stingy. Stingy, anal, like things a certain way, probably obsessive, probably, whatever. And what Freud is saying is that they're fixated at the anal stage. He's saying the mother probably potty trained them too hard, like was wiping their booty a little bit too hard, or was harsh when you were potty training them, and probably beat them if they did whatever they had to do and did it on themselves, or if the mother was too lax, then that person kind of could be dirty. You get what I'm saying? That person can be very messy, not organized. So it's two different things that can happen. Freud believed the mother was the problem. His mama probably was the problem. And then phallic stage. Phallic stage, think about it, that's that sexual stage. That's when people start, if they're fixated at the phallic stage, those are people who have sex with everybody. They're promiscuous. Um, they probably vanity, they probably vain, really into their looks, like, I'm that chick, and all of that. Or they anxiety might be really, really, really high, because they're worried about what others think of them and things like that. So I think just knowing what fixation means is important. You don't really have to know that, but I feel like if you want to learn, just learn everything. Okay. Now, he do talk about ego states. Somebody explain the egos to me.
The
I'll,
the
go ahead.
the ego and superego. The id is the pleasure principle.
Yep.
The ego is the reality principle, and the
Yep.
superego is morals and
Mm-hmm.
kind of like ethics.
And yes, yes. So the ego is you. You are the ego. The ego is reality. Okay. Then reality have the devil and have the angel. The devil is telling you YOLO, live your life. You only got one life. Go live it. Do what you do, boo. Your angel, which is your super ego, is telling you when you wake up in the morning, you're gonna be pissed. Don't do it. You get what I'm saying? I even taken a step further. You got the devil and you got the Holy Spirit. The devil is telling you do what you want to do. Go ahead, eat everything you want to eat. Just smoke the weed. You'll be fine. Pop that pill. You'll hurry up and get home. And then your super ego is saying, do it if you want to. When you find yourself in jail and you do all this, you can't call nobody or do anything. So what he's saying is the ego is steady battling. Think about it. The person, your person, your flesh, because I always got to take it to the Bible, y'all. Your flesh is always battling with the devil and the Holy Spirit. They always going against each other. So what he's saying is the id is the thing that you're born that way. You want what you want. Okay? The id have to be tamed. All right? As you grow, you start to get these morals about yourself, and that's where the super ego is developed. All right? Anybody have any questions about that, or you understand that part? I heard somewhere somebody said the ego is the person at the bar, the id is the drunk person, and the superego is the designated driver. Had to be somebody, an alcoholic, said that. All right, so remember what I said. Freud utilized the Rorschach and the TAT, which is subjective because the therapists tell you what you're going through, and then projective is what you're projecting looking at those pictures. Now, I showed you what the Rorschach looked like. They look like the ink blots, right? The TAT looks like, and I think if y'all see it, you will always remember it. That's me. TAT, subjective cards. All right, y'all see this? I know I always gotta stop and go back. Y'all see these cards? So this what it would look like. He'll put up a card like this and then tell you to give a whole story about what's happening in this card, right? Somebody might give a story that say I grew up in a house where my daddy always beat my mama. Out of this story, anything could be going on with this lady, but I tell a story that her husband was mad at her and she wanted to run away, but she couldn't get out the door and she thought about it, so she just got back in the bed with him. That's my thing. But if it's somebody who did not have a traumatic experience, probably would say she was just really tired and didn't want to go downstairs to make dinner for her family. Totally different. So just because I said what I said, the therapist can subject, oh, maybe you were abused or you went through a traumatic experience in your life because that's the story you got for this. So that's what he used, okay? So this is the TAT. This is weird. The dog. What's happening? All right. Back to our picture. So everybody understand ego, super ego. Now, Erikson. Somebody break it down for me. Remember, Erikson, he had 8 sons. Tiffany remembered. And then remember, in his name, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 letters, 8 stages. Now, remember I said the first 3 of Erikson's is psychosexual. All right? But his stages overall, if you get a question to ask what's his stages overall is psychosocial. Okay? Psycho, your head, either sexual or social. All right? So Erikson was the only one who did steps and stages on a human entire life cycle. Okay? He covered the whole lifespan. So when we start here, trust versus mistrust, somebody tell me what's happening in that stage.
And trust versus mistrust, that's infancy to the first year. A baby is like learning how to trust their environment and their parents. And so, for example, I have a little baby. If I allow her to cry too long and not get to her,
Erickson said that she's building up mistrust and she's not going to trust in the world whenever she gets older. But if I run to her needs whenever she cries, Erickson says this child is going to be able to trust, and that's instilling hope in her.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, just what she said, that's when a baby learning to trust somebody. Think about a child who's neglected, who stayed in the bed, think about their mama or their family, their dads, alcoholics, drug addicts, passed out, baby sitting there screaming, hollering, dirty diaper. Those are the people who don't trust nobody once you think about it. The people who don't trust anybody grew up in a hard house, a hard life. Okay? So Erickson he was speaking when he was talking right here at that early thing. That's when a baby learn how to trust or don't trust. Okay? Next stage, autonomy versus shame and doubt. Remember, I said that's around the anal stage of Freud, but that's the potty training stage. All right? Anybody want to stab at the difference between autonomy versus shame and doubt? What's going on in that stage?
I can try.
Go
So,
ahead.
okay, in that stage, I believe, like you said, with the potty training or learning to be independent, like if your parents praise you, then it's like that kind of enforces you to be independent or keep doing good. However, if they scold you, then it's going to cause the child to feel like shameful per se.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Absolutely. Think about potty training. Your baby finally put on them big girl drawers. They so excited, so happy. They're showing everybody their drawers and just so happy to have drawers on. And then just one moment, they try to make it and they couldn't make it and they boo-boo on themselves. All of that happiness or whatever goes down the drain if the parent don't tell them it's okay. Mistakes happen. We can redo it. You'll be all right. But they start to learn what shame feel like. They start to learn what praises feel like. If nobody ever been praised before, they would not know what it feels like to win, which starts at that age, very early, right? Initiative versus guilt. Remember, this is like the third psychosexual stage in Freud. So right here, what's going on? Look at him.
Wouldn't they try to be independent?
Right here in the initiative versus guilt. Yeah. Let me know. Independent for sure. Think about, so look at this age, 3 to 6 years. You remember I said around that time, they start to realize what they have down there have feeling. I knew my boys did. I don't know if nobody showed them, nobody touched them. They just knew that it was a sensation happening down there, right? So, and I take it this way because this is one of his psychosexuals. There's other ways to explain this, but I feel like if you remember it this way, you remember that it was 3 psychosexual and these are the 3. All right. They know that their penis have a feeling, but they don't know it's wrong to have that feeling until their mama walk in the room and say, "Boy, what you doing?" Or you tell a girl, don't you ever touch that. Nobody should touch it. Think about when you take your baby to the doctor. The doctor say, okay, nobody should be doing this. I'm only doing it because your parents are in the room. And if they weren't in the room, I wouldn't do this. So they start to understand this is my private part. And I shouldn't be, one, letting anybody touch it, or two, I shouldn't be playing with it. All right? So the initiative was, I know I got this thing going on and I can feel it and it feels, but the guilt is, you're not supposed to be doing it. Catholic school, people used to say, you'll get your hand cut off or you'll grow hair on your hand or something like that if you touching and playing with yourself. So that's why I like to explain it that way, because now you know those first 3 stages of Erickson was psychosexual. Same like Freud. He was a follower of Freud. Next, we'll start to learn who are neo-Freudians. And he was a neo-Freudian, the people who left Freud because they said Freud was just too freaky. Okay? Now, Industry versus inferiority. Somebody give it a stab. Think about elementary kids. What's happening?
They're trying to figure out what they're good at.
They're trying to figure out what they're good at. If like I'm always gonna bring my kids up. My son, my 9-year-old, he is a sore loser. Okay? If he know he not good at something, he not gonna play. All right. This is around the age where they start to see what they're good at, and it's important to teach them what they're good at so they know what they're not good at, and that it's okay. Because if they are not good at a lot of things and kids are great at it, then they start to build this inferiority complex, which we will talk more about with Adler. But to feel inferior builds up all kind of things to make someone not confident, always talking bad about themselves, don't see themselves as being good, don't even see motivation. They would just not do anything with life because they feel like they're horrible at it, right? This is the important stage to show your kid what they are good at. If you know your kid not good in math, but they're good in reading, or they getting good grades somewhere else, praise them. Because you want to show them that you got it, you know how to do it. If you practice and you do this, you'll be great at it. But this is the stage where they need to be boosted up. This is the stage where you got to buck them up. Okay? Just to have that in their background that I am good at something. I'm great at something, because when kids don't have that and the teacher is not giving it to them, then those kids not gonna try. They're not gonna try. They're not gonna do whatever. And to even further this, you'll see this again when it comes to careers. Let me connect it. Think about in careers, D, since you love careers. Think about the fantasy stage, tentative stage, reality stage. The the fantasy stage happened at what age?
It's like that kindergarten, first grade age. They're trying to
Right
figure
here,
out what they're
huh?
doing. Uh-huh.
So what happens if a kid know I can't stand school, you know for a fact they're not gonna want to be a teacher.
Right, they're going to do something like
They're
with
gonna
their
do
hands,
something else.
realistic.
Around this time, you need to fantasy play is introduced to kids so they can start visualizing what career they're talking about. We'll get there, trust me, but I want y'all to connect. You get what I'm saying? Everything gonna connect. You just gotta get the basics. So we're starting at the basics all over again. All right. Identity versus role confusion. Who are these? Asia, your children there.
They are identity versus role confusion. Um, yeah, the form and identity confused. Okay, so yeah, it's like basically they coming into who they are. It's
Yes.
they can be influenced by their peers,
Yep.
and like whoever their peers are, it can influence who they are. And it looks like either how it says you can form your own identity or
Mm-hmm.
you might be confused by it. I actually had a client in my internship, and my supervisor kind of helped me understand, like, even though you're like, they might not be at this age per se, 12 to 20,
But
how
they can
somebody
be
could
at
be
that
stuck.
stage.
Yeah, like how they could be stuck if they don't like surpass the level they're
Exactly.
at. So it's very
Exactly.
important to create like get your own identity. If not, that's how we run into the adults who still basically confused and they don't know who they are.
Exactly. Very, thank you for bringing that up. Now, just because it's showing the ages of this, these can be grown people stuck at these stages, y'all. Grown people don't know what they're good at. Grown people don't, and it's true. You're gonna run, and when you talking to your clients, all of this is in the back of your mind. So I see why it's important to know this, because when you actually having a conversation, even though after you pass the test, you don't want to think about none of this. But when you having a conversation with that client, you're gonna be like, damn, Erickson did say that. She act just like a little girl. I my little nose be like, trust versus mistrust. I'm not even gonna lie to you. But yes, think about think about when we was 13, 14, 15. Back then we used to go to the movies. I don't know what y'all did, but we used to go to the movies. And I remember wanting to dress like my friend. You gonna wear your apple bottoms? I wear mine. You got Caraca? I'm more, so that's telling where I'm at. And I want to be just like we wanted to be together. We wore our hair together. I'm influenced. I really didn't like um the puffy jackets, but everybody was wearing it, so I'm gonna wear a puffy jacket, right? I really didn't like the name belts because my name was too long, but I had a name belt because everybody wanted a name belt. Okay, so you're being influenced by your peers, or nowadays the boy, the mama is married to another woman, and now she's saying her child go as non-binary, and now the child don't know who they are. Role confusion. I had a baby girl, one of my students, her mom, she had two moms, okay? Now, in her household, and I totally understood it, right? In her household, that's how it was. So she would come into the counseling office and say how she had a crush on a girl. I knew that was gonna happen because her family's like that. But one day it was like it was a secret and she was doing something wrong when she wanted to come and tell me that she actually had a crush on a boy. And I said, "Do you know that you can like you can like a boy. That's how it's supposed to be. Girls like boys, but different families do different things, but it is okay. If it's okay for you to like a girl, it's okay to like a boy. Really?" Role confusion. She was so confused. Poor baby. And she going to sixth grade. So, all right. Now, so many people stuck at this stage. All right. And that's totally okay. It's totally okay but here's the difference between this. All right. So intimacy versus isolation. Look at the ages 20 to 40. Let me explain it a different way. So intimacy, they're just saying around this age, you should know who you want to be with. This is like perfect scenario. All right. Straight out of college, know your sweetheart you want to be with, you'll get together, you get married, and you be together. Or if somebody didn't really have that to be shown that that's how it should go, or didn't even really want that, they may know that they don't want a relationship and just want to be isolated. Like, I just want to be by myself because everybody full of it. But of course, we know behind that is so many other things, but that's where this stage is supposed to be happening. Intimacy versus isolation. After that stage, you meet your husband, you do all that if it's perfect or whatever. Now, not saying you're going to be 20 when all this happened. All of this is just what they threw out there. This can be whatever. Say you pass this stage, you on the next stage, generativity versus stagnation. By this time, you should have kids and you're starting to raise your kids. This is the stage where you start talking to people and giving them wisdom, right? Not that 65 and up, but around 40 to 65. Around here is saying you should be established. Your kids are growing, they're teenagers, you leaving generational wealth. Are you leaving a legacy? You showing them how they do this, how you're supposed to be this person and you're supposed to do all this. But also what happens in this stage is midlife crisis. Make sure you write that down. Midlife crisis. Now it's saying either I did what I was supposed to do, like everybody on this call, because everybody on this call got a master's. Okay? Not everybody want to push forward to go and be a licensed anything. You get what I'm saying? So right now, everybody on this call has reached generativity. Does that make sense? Now, if we were stagnated, we would have graduated high school, been content at a 9 to 5, and said, "My kids grown, they can figure it out." That's stagnation. I'm good where I'm at. I'm not doing nothing more, nothing less. My kids good. Okay? So that's generativity versus stagnation. Then you got the last stage, which is 65 and up. This is where you sit back and see if you did what you were supposed to do in life, or you just had a whole bunch of shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Okay? So when we thinking about being like integrity or whatever it mean, I can sit back and just be happy with my life. I can retire. I got a good Roth RIA. I got money coming in. I don't have to work. I can do hobbies, I can work if I want to. My kids good. They went to college. Are they doing what they supposed to? They got their family. I'm good. Or, man, if I did that, I would have been set. Or if I would have just kept going, if I would have just took that NCE, if I would have just took that test, I would have been making $120,000 a year, 140 a year. I could have my own practice. That's despair. You thinking about the things that you should have done, but we're here now. So that's the difference between it. Everybody good? We got it? All right. Now, we talked about Freud, psychosexual, 5 stages, fixation. What they didn't have on here, which I think it would come up, is talking about the conscious, preconscious, and the unconscious, which I'll get to that when we start talking about defense mechanisms, because that kind of makes sense. Now let's talk about Adler. Okay? So Erikson, we know he's psychosocial. You see how it's socializing, this versus this versus this, because it all happens organically when you are experiencing life. All right. Now, if you pay attention, the behaviorist people will differ from these people. So when you see stages and people organically creating and meeting things, remember this is organic. Okay. When we talk behavior, that's more environmental. Just keep that in your forefront. Remember, all of this is organically happening, social. All right. Adler. Alfred Adler. When we talk about Adler, Adler was a psychoanalyst too. He was a follower of Freud. All right. Make sure that that's there. Adler was a sick child. All right. He had a bone disease. So he wasn't able to play like the other kids. So that's why he created the inferiority complex. Remember what we talked about? Being inferior, not being able to do this, not being able to be good at that. He built his whole practice on feeling the feeling of being inferior, like just inferior. Okay? Also important to note about Adler. Adler was the preface for family therapy. Okay? He was the preface for family therapy. Adler was the one to talk about the family constellation. What is the birth order? And it makes so much sense now because when you think about it, the older sibling is the one who was the mini mama that had to do everything, know how to deal with this and work with that and do all that. And I actually see it in play right now because I'm seeing a couple. I'm doing couples therapy with a couple. And they're newlyweds and they just had a baby. And the father, he's having trouble because he never really dealt with little kids because he's the youngest of his family. Now his wife, she know exactly what to do because she the oldest and she been taking care of her siblings. So she gets frustrated with him because she feel like he should know what to do, which he don't. So I had to bring up what's your birth order in your family? And it made so much sense. She was like, I'm the oldest. And I said, what's yours? He said, I'm the youngest. I said, well, it makes sense. You know what to do, he don't. Give him a little leeway and you understand that she knows and you can ask. And it was perfect. It was beautiful. But I wouldn't have known that for Adler, right? So he talked about heredity and environment. What's another word for that?
Nature versus nurture.
There you go. Right at the beginning. Nature versus nurture. Um, Basically, all of these things that's organic versus the environment. All of these things that we're looking at that's happening with the mothers and the growing and all of that, that's heredity. And then environment would be behavioral. So think about that. That's what this whole argument is about at the beginning of human growth and development. Okay? It's like a war. You're gonna have your heredity people, that's gonna be Erikson, Freud, Adler, Jean Piaget, all these people, and then you got your behavior people, Skinner, Watson, Pavlov, all that. Okay. Here's a good semantic to remember in between, but we know these are just words that correlates with Adler, Adler inferiority complex, birth order, sibling rivalry, early recollections, which means insight. Remember, he was a psychoanalyst, so they want to know everything about you. How was your grandmother? Was they an alcoholic? How was your sister? Everything. So anything psychoanalysts, they're gonna go deep into everything you need to know. Okay? Um, Social connectedness was big with Adler. It's not on here, but I want you to write that down. He spoke and figured out if a kid was social with people, then they kind of would be a better person. So think about extroverted people and introverted people. Even though some introverts know how to be extroverts, but they need to get their energy by being to themselves, which, believe it or not, is me. The way I re-energize is being by myself. But the way that I love to be, I am everybody. Everybody know. Like I'm not gonna say I'm the life of the party, but I mean, it is a good time when I get there. So note social connectedness, social interest, anything social that's your Adler, okay? Don't worry, I can send this to everybody if y'all need this, okay? Just write down the notes just so it's something that you can remember. All right. So Adler, preface, family, early recollections, birth order, social interests, um, all of those things have a lot to do with him. Carl Gustav Jung. Carl Jung. Somebody tell me about Carl Jung. I need some water. Who was Jung?
I know he does the unconscious, but I know the words always connect with him, like person-centered, empathy, congruence, unconditional regard.
So that's Roger. But so when we think of Carl Jung, he was a Freud follower of Freud as well. Okay. He believed in the collective unconscious, which means everybody have this. You collected all of these things to where it's unconsciously there. All right. He believed in archetypes. He believed in the Myers-Briggs type indicator. Remember, I was talking about to know if you're an introvert or an extrovert person? That's all the doing of Carl Jung. When you think about the Myers-Briggs type indicator, there's 16 personalities that's going to come out of that. Okay. 16 of them. He also, have anybody ever took the Myers-Briggs type indicator? Whenever
I
you get
did.
okay. I think whenever you get a chance, just take it, just so you know, and you went through the process to know exactly what it is. So these are all the things that he kind of talked about. Like once you get your letters, you'll see what kind of introvert you are, because some people are introverted, but they're thinkers and they might be judgy, all those different things. But he was known for those things. Okay. He also talked about archetypes. He also talked about like being a shadow. Who remember that? The shadow, anima, intimate, all those. Y'all know. Your persona. So a shadow would be who you put on a face, but behind that face you're something else. So that's what he's saying. He's saying not everybody shows up with who they are. You're either hiding behind something or you put on a face for other people, but behind you're dealing with a lot of things. That's a lot of people who's dealing with depression. At work or to everybody else, or people who are suicidal. To everybody, they would think that they're fine, but really inside they're dying. So he kind of touch on that. Can somebody explain Gestalt therapy for me?
The here and now.
Gestalt
Like,
therapy. Who was the author of it?
The pearls.
It's
Oh,
a
sorry.
pearls. It's pearls. Yeah.
Fitz Pearls, yes. So in Gestalt therapy, of course, it's a German word that means organized whole, trying to make somebody whole. That there's mainly in Gestalt therapy, it's the techniques that make the therapy, if that makes sense. Okay. Gestalt therapy is just kind of like what techniques you would do in your counseling sessions, right? So for instance, the unfinished business deal. There are people that are coming to counseling that has been struggling their whole life, all because it was something that they wanted to say. They never had the balls to tell the person. They just let this person do them any kind of way and they don't say anything because they know the person is not going to react the way I want to. I might get mad and then I'll act out of character. So what happens is the unfinished business, we gotta help them through it. So we would do an intervention called empty chair, right? That's when you'll have the client go ahead and act like who they want to talk to is actually there. They're getting done and getting finished with their unfinished business by using an empty chair method. That's Gestalt therapy. Role play. That's Gestalt therapy. Like Tiffany said, the here and now. You always want to bring them back to where we are. Those are kind of like the moments when you can see your client kind of getting upset and sweaty, and then you want to say, okay, okay, I can see you reliving this trauma, but I want you to take it back here. Take it back here. I want you to breathe and ground yourself, okay? Is making people self-aware of where they are, connectedness. All of this is Gestalt therapy, okay? The important thing to remember when we talk about Gestalt therapy is all these little secret words: unfinished business, connectedness, all the techniques, the empty chair, that's connected to Gestalt therapy. Because questions on Gestalt therapy would be basically connecting the words to it. Dream work, experimental, here and now, and stuff like that. However, here and now belongs to a lot of things, but Gestalt therapy, that's where you want. Any questions on Gestalt before I start? Go. Existential, which I love. Whoops. Can somebody explain this kind of therapy to me?
Existential is like those big questions. Was I created for? Why am I here? It's one of those therapies where, like, I have to die one day. So while I'm here, I need to get myself together. It almost aligns with biblical principle, getting yourself together so that one day when you do die, you go where you desire to go.
Yes. You will hope. Also, when you get there, you get a job well done, or
Right.
turn around. So those are those big life questions. That's people that's coming. Existential therapy are people coming who just lost themselves, just don't know what to do at this point, have no motivation, don't know, what's going on. The people responsible for existential therapy would be Rollo May, Viktor Frankl, and Yalom. Yalom. Somebody tell me an interesting fact of Viktor Frankl.
He was in the Holocaust.
He survived the Holocaust. This man was so motivated that when he was in the gas chamber, or probably going out of the gas chamber, or in line to go into the gas chamber, he didn't die, clearly, but he was motivating people who were scared. He was giving them therapy in the middle of the Holocaust. So That's an interesting fact about Viktor Frankl. He also developed logotherapy, uh, which means therapy through. And then he also wrote this book, which is important, Man's Search for Meaning. Make sure that that's there. Now, what existential therapists or therapy entails is telling people that anxiety is normal. Anxiety is a part of the human experience. Explore it. Why? When you feel anxiety, that means something needs to change, right? Something not right, or something, something is bothering you. So basically, what they're saying, the minute you feel anxiety or you feel that in your body, that's your body way of telling you switch it up or something gotta give or whatever. So existential therapists believe that anxiety was a good thing. It was a good experience that you should experience. You got somebody coming into your office and they think anxiety is just a bad thing, which it can be bad on your health. But to calm them down is to tell them, and if you give an existential therapy, you could say, I understand you have anxiety. We'll fix that with some breathing treatment, but let's explore what is the anxiety. Because if they're having these moments or whatever, and they're able to call out why they're having the moments, then we know that's where we need to start to fix it, right? So that's why they say that. Rollo May, he is the father of existentialism. Okay? He um he was the one that said anxiety is good, that everybody should feel it. He repressed that anxiety leads to mental illness. So helping the client regain their responsibility. Okay. And then Yalom, we're gonna see Yalom come back up again. Yalom is gonna come back up in, is it careers? Career. Yeah, correct. But in he was an existentialist, so he was good at what Danisha just talked about, basically saying if you know that eventually you're going to die, everybody died. We're okay with death. It's just when I die, do I want to die knowing that I did what I was supposed to do? Or I'm gonna live every day like I'm about to die, like just miserable. So he talked about the death and the morality part of it, freedom, isolation, and meaninglessness. Freedom and responsibility. If people realize that they can be free from the burden of the things that they're created in their lives and take responsibility for them, being accountable for it, then they can pick their life up and do what they're supposed to do. But you can't keep blaming everybody for your mistakes, blaming everybody for why you're not doing this. You the one that don't have no job. I got a job. I ain't do that to you. Things like that, right? And then the self-awareness, that's the big thing. And then the death and the morality part. It's group. It is group. It's not career. It's group. Thank you, thank you, thank you. He do come in group. Yes, he do. He got that's his curative factors. Y'all on.
Yeah. Yes, you got the living.
Yes. Okay. So the key concepts of the psychoanalyst people, you got the goals. So making the unconscious conscious. That's the whole purpose of these psychoanalyst people. They want to sit there and keep asking you Socratic questions, asking and asking and asking just to see what's the pattern, to see what's going on in your childhood, to see what's unconsciously happening. To strengthen the ego so the behavior is based on reality and not like on your id, on the cravings that you have and stuff like that. Remember these? The free association, that means the client is going to say whatever comes to their mind. Freud was big on that. Dream analysts, if people had dreams a lot, then they tried to incorporate the dream. Like, I think I heard something crazy, like everybody had these dreams where you sleep, but it feel like you falling off the cliff and you jump in your sleep. Basically, trying to say you have some kind of fear going on and you need to explore what you're scared of. Or are you taking the next step? Or have anybody ever had a dream all their teeth was falling out? Nobody. No? I'm the only one. So I looked it up. I looked it up and basically saying, not saying that I need to go to the dentist. It was basically saying like something new was coming. I used to be all into it. I used to research what it mean when I had a dream. Something new is supposed to happen, but that's what they do. You come with a dream, I try to break it down, okay? And then resistance, transference. What is transference?
When the client projects feelings on the therapist.
Yes, that's very important to know transference and countertransference. Transference is when the client is transferring feelings toward the therapist as if I'm their mother. Countertransference is somebody.
When the counselor projects onto the client.
Exactly. C. Always remember the C. Client counter. Okay. And it can be, you start noticing you dress a little cute when this particular client come and I was like, okay, well, I got real cute today. Oh, okay, I might like them. And you start to pay attention to that because you can't do no good work if you attracted to somebody. You're gonna make them feel real good and you're not gonna call them out. So pay attention to the counter transference and the transference that's happening. Now, I know that was a lot, and I don't want to overdo it with y'all, but behavior is another. Remember, I said we can start with the heredity, we can start with the organic, we can start with the stages, which Piaget wasn't on here, but I'm about to talk about it. And then you got the environmental people, nature versus nurture. Nurture would be the organic part, which is all of these people that have the stages. Nature, environment, all of these things would be behavior, which I might just have to break it up and do it tomorrow because it's a lot on behavior. And I don't want to overdo y'all unless y'all okay. Because I can see everybody brains like, what the heck? Whoops. Is everybody good or should we just go ahead and finish? I know it's a lot. Somebody tell me something.
Wait.
Y'all want to wait?
Or do you have questions like for the ones we just went over?
Don't. I do have this. What the? Hold on. I do have this. Y'all can answer these now that you know a little bit more. Let's see what you do. Hold on. I'm gonna stop sharing and then share it again. Can y'all see this?
Yes.
Okay. So we already did one. Mhm. Any minute now. Gee. One thing I know, Rosenthal talk a lot. Okay. So Jazz already did one. Gee, Louise, serious? Okay. Somebody do two for me. Right here. Y'all see it? We good?
Yes.
Okay. Somebody do two for me. Put your answers in the chat. In Freud's psychodynamic theory, instinct, as emphasized, Erik Erikson is an ego psychologist. Ego psychologist, give me the answer. Okay. Okay. So, don't, I'm just a messenger. Don't shoot me. So, in Freud's psychodynamic theory, instincts are emphasized. Y'all read that and started to answer, didn't you? Erik Erikson is a psychologist. What's the question they're asking us?
What do ego psychologists do? I was a little confused because when I think of the ego, I automatically assume like the reality or like the logical.
It
So
is.
I was like for A, it says it emphasizes the id, and I'm like,
But
the
you
id is
read
not
because that's what
logical.
Freud said instincts. You saw that and then went to answer. That's how we can mess up on the NCE, y'all.
Yeah,
We
because I
always
was
have
thinking
to.
C. I was thinking
Yeah,
reasoning.
me
I was
too.
thinking
I was
C.
thinking C.
Yeah.
C
That's why
is
I
the
didn't
right answer.
okay,
C
I
is
saw the A's and I was
Okay.
like, oh, maybe I'm wrong. Like,
Yeah, that's what I did. I was like, well, let me just shut up because everybody's saying
no.
I
A.
thought
C.
everybody put A, but I was like, okay, when we talk about the ego, I was up here thinking, okay, that's the balance, but I couldn't get the
yeah.
answer choice.
Now, absolutely. Now, that's why it's important we do testing strategies. I'm telling y'all, the strategies is what's going to get you to pass. I'm not going to sit here and tell you to just read it, give me this. No, I'm teaching you. So, we all, even me, you read that first thing, saw that, went to the answer, and was like, oh, it's that. Absolutely not. That's how they trip you up on this test. So, testing strategies is the strength that we have to use. You're going to read. Who know my testing strategy? Somebody know, because I talk about it too
Eliminate
much.
Eliminate
eliminate the
two.
two you know that's not it.
Absolutely not it. Leave you with two. Reread it and then read what they're asking you. You're not gonna read all this no more, because that's what throws you off. It's too much. What are they asking you? So that's what we do. Reread it, read all the answer choices, knock off two that is absolutely not. Leave you with two, read the question again, and then answer. So if you pick C, good deal. All right. Do three. This should be easy. Remember, we said it. Absolutely. Erik Erikson, remember, he the one that did the entire lifespan. All right. Are we learning? Are we learning? You hear me? Okay. Four. Go ahead and give me that one. The only person that used them words. Sigmund Freud. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, if y'all need this, let me know too. Hit five. I didn't go over Jean Piaget. Do y'all need me to before we hit this up?
You can do a little refresher. That'd be nice.
Everybody on the same page? Let's talk about Piaget. First, give me this answer and then I'll give it to you. Everybody saying absolutely, the answer is C. Okay, so when we talk about Jean Piaget, um, remember he got criticized because he did all of his work and all of his, research on his own children, which, I mean, that's your kids. You don't know how everybody kids are. So they kind of criticize him, but he was on something too. He was on to something. So Piaget had these stages: sensory motor, pre-operational, concrete operational, and formal operations. However, he also had something else that's happening with him, but let's just break it down. So, the first stage is what?
Sensory motor.
What's happening in the sensory motor? Sensor motor. Break the word down. What's your motor skills?
The mouth.
And your senses.
Mm-hmm.
Sensory motor. So think about a baby always putting something in their mouth. These are how babies are learning. They know dirt tastes disgusting because they put it in their mouth. But when they taste sugar, it was good. So they try to put sand in their mouth and knew this wasn't sugar. All that's happening. That's the sensory motor stage. That's birth to your 2-year-old. They are sucking, they are doing their thing. But it's something very important in this stage that we need to know is object permanence. Okay? Think about a 2-year-old. Think about anybody 2 and under. Peekaboo. I show you and I hide it. They really believe it's gone. They really believe it's gone. They are stuck on one object permanence. I show you this and I hide it. They really believe it's gone. Okay? Then they move to a next stage, which is the pre-operational stage. Somebody can tell me what happened in the pre. It's a lot of things going on in the pre-operational stage.
The ages are 2 to 7.
Ages 2 to 7. So think about those terrible twos. What's the main thing a 2-year-old would do? What's the thing that happens? They are
Centric.
egocentric. Everything's about me. Me, me, me. That's mine. That's mine. They come and get you your water cup because it belongs to them. They don't think that it's for you. It's mine. They think the example that's always given is when it's raining, they think the rain is following. Oh, they think the sun is following them. Have you ever seen kids that like look at the moon and when you drive and it just like stay right there? They don't know that we're just driving around it. They think it's following us home or whatever. So that's egocentrism. Animalistic. They really believe that the stuffed animal is their baby and you got to change the baby diaper. You got to feed the baby. The little girls push them in a stroller like it's a real thing, okay? Um, they start to realize that symbols actually mean something. So they start to see if there's a object that's a circle. I see my mama driving, so I'm gonna get a plate and act like it's a steering wheel. Or I know when we pull up to that place with that big old yellow M, I'm gonna get a hamburger, I'm gonna get some fries, I'm gonna get some food when we go there. They start to know what symbols are. They start to reenact. Then they move to the next stage, which is the concrete operational stage. Okay, think elementary school. This is when they start to, that's 7 to 11. So they understand that just because this is a taller glass and this is a shorter glass, if I pour all this into the taller glass, it's the same amount of water. Somebody who have not reached the conservation stage would pick the taller glass because it's taller than a smaller glass and think they have more. Like I said, my son, my kids, I always use the money because my little one thought he had more money than my big one because he had $2, but my son had a $5 bill. My son, who's in the concrete operational stage knew he had way more money than the little one, but the little one said, I got more money than you because I got two. So that's what that entails. I always remember concrete, conservation, counting. All that goes together. Remember that's in that stage. And then the last stage is the formal operational stage. That's from 12 to adulthood. That's them understanding abstract thinking, right? That's me telling them something and they know exactly what it means. Mainly like older people. For an example, if I tell you, if you lay down with dogs, you're gonna wake up with fleas. You know what I'm talking about? You lay with some dirty girls, you're gonna come back with some dirty stuff. That's abstract thinking. So when you think about the last stage, and if anybody can get that, you know that's formal operational. Now, another thing that Piaget talks about and what he does is when he talks about the schema, which is your brain, your schema is all the processing of all of your information processes right here in the schema. All right. Now, what he do talk about here is assimilation. We're not talking about social and culture. We'll get there later. But in this part, he talks about something called assimilation, and he talks about something called accommodation. So, what does that look like? Here we go. Assimilation, right? I'm a kid. I go to my aunt's house. And she has a cat. It's furry, it has four legs, and it's just fluffy. Then I go to my mom's friend house. They have a dog. It's furry, it's fluffy, it has four legs. Assimilation, if I'm a kid, I'm gonna say dog, I'm gonna say cat. Because I was taught very first that a furry thing with four legs was a cat. I see that looks just like it. So that's a cat too. So assimilation is happening, right? Equilibration is happening because I just equaled them together. It's furry, it got four legs. That's what I remember. It is what it is. Somebody come and tell me, no, that's not a cat, that's a dog. A dog? They just disequilibrium my whole thing. They just messed me up, which is disequilibrium. And then I said, oh, so that's a cat. It goes meow, and that's a dog. It said roof. I just accommodated something totally new. That's what Piaget came up with. For an example, you see a big girl on the beach. A baby will say, Mama, that's a whale, which is horrible. But they assimilated something really big and wet to something that they know. That's what Piaget talked about. So the schema did assimilation, which was as similar as something I know. Somebody disequilibrated that and told me something new, and I accommodated the new information. And that's how we learn. Everybody get that? All right. So Piaget did all that just to keep it afloat. All right. 6. I just gave y'all this answer. I just told y'all what he did. D. He worked with his own children. Give me 7. We just talked about it. Absolutely. C. Concrete, conservation, counting. CCC. Give me 8. What's happening when we pull in water? Absolutely. Volume and mass. Absolutely. Good job. Give me 9. Absolutely. C. Always remember that. Give me 10. Oh, this is something that I have to tell y'all. Let me see if somebody answered it right. Yes, covert. Okay. On the next one, I'll explain who covert is because he will go into like a moral kind of deal. It's so much, I know. It's a 2-part series. Give me 11. Absolutely. It's reversible. Remember, if I pour it in there and it's taller, it's still the same amount. So, yes. 12. Me. It's all about me. Absolutely. Egocentrism. Okay. We'll talk about Lawrence Kohlberg, but somebody just answer it if you know it. Yes. 3 levels, 6 steps. We'll do Kohlberg next go round. Give me 15. What stage of Erickson, I say remember for midlife crisis? No, identity crisis.
Is it adult? Stagnation.
I'm sorry, I said midlife crisis. I meant to say identity crisis. Road confusion. There you go. We'll do Kohlberg. 17. I'm going to 30, y'all, just to let y'all know. Everybody's saying, there you go. That's Erickson first stage. 18. Absolutely is D. We'll go for Kohlberg again. That's a whole story. Anybody know about the zone of proximal development? It's very small. He's very small. He was big in
Levi. Well, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
no, good. Liv Vengowski. Just
Is that the
know
one that
that.
said it's what a child can do by himself or with like an adult or a teacher or somebody around? What they can do by
Absolutely.
themselves and then versus what they can do with something to help.
Yes, like stagnating their work. Yes, absolutely. 24. Mhm. Now remember, they are called maturationists because they are following people as they mature. Does that make sense? That's why I say you break the words down. So anyone who creates steps to people's lives, their maturationist is watching people grow and what happens when they grow older and older. Okay. Keyword, maturationist, matureness. We'll go over Bobley. 26. Can somebody remind me next time where to start from? 26 is A. Perfect. 27. Wait, did I do this? No, we'll do it. The answer is Harlow, but we'll talk about that. So a good way to remember Harlow, Harry Harlow, hairy monkeys. He worked with monkeys and they're hairy. So hairy monkeys, Harry Harlow. And then we'll talk about that. Matter of fact, I would love for you to go YouTube this and actually watch that experiment. It was really good, very interesting. Just YouTube Harry Hollow's monkey experiment and watch it. They actually have it recorded, so it's really good to watch just to get more information. Two more. Y'all can do 28. Try 28. Yes, it is D. Yes, it's D. So Eleanor and Carol just basically said that males are better than females when performing mathematics. However, girls are better with verbal or vocabulary or reading. That's what they say. Can y'all do 29?
Question about the one we just did. So, like, question number 28, would
Mm-hmm.
it show up on the NCE like that?
It could, yep.
Or would they phrase it different? Like they don't want to know like who
They
researched it.
probably would put the first part and then you'll finish it, or who said, or they would switch it around according to research by Eleanor, such and such.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, it will be a clue where you would know what to hit. Like,
Okay.
you get what I'm saying? It's gonna be some
Yeah.
that you absolutely gonna be like, but here you will use testing strategies. Like, you know, something is not all in and something is not all out. So you'll take that away, that it gotta be something, you know?
Okay. Thank you.
Of course, 29. Y'all answer 29. Absolutely C. All right, 30. Your last one. Think about it. When a person, at what age do they conform to you, like will listen to everything you say? Think about it like that. Absolutely. Think about a 13-year-old. They believe everything you're saying at this moment, because you're the adult. You got it. Of course, new age 13-year-olds, let's not think this is old, okay? We're gonna do perfect scenario. They believe what you say because you're the adult and they're gonna listen to what you're saying. As a teacher, we all going here to this assembly. Everybody get in line. Everybody gonna get in line, right? Think like that. Okay. Any questions?